And we are back. It is time to review week 9, the week that was in the NFL, as we do every single week. We go over what we predicted, and then we predict it for the next week in the following podcast. Al, how you doing?
Great, man. Great. We got all kinds of stuff going on this weekend today. Can't wait to talk about it over the next 2 episodes here.
Totally agree. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, let's just dive right in then.
Let's do it, man. I'm in.
Okay, first game. The Jets jump all over Houston. All over Houston, 21-13. They had 8 sacks in this game.
Yeah, I know, man. I know. The Texans' offensive line has fallen to pieces. They can run block, but they cannot pass protect. It's really
CJ Stroud was 11 for 30.
that looks like an Anthony Richardson line.
I don't know what's going on with him.
It
He had one good week last week, and I thought maybe that was going to launch him, and now he's right back to kind of sucking.
yeah, I think it's a combination of second year blues, offensive line in shambles. They have their starting center and guard have been out for a few weeks, so they're missing important pieces on their offensive line, and they're missing one of the best receivers in football, and also their number 2 receiver, who was a top 15, 20 fantasy guy, and a very good real life receiver. So they are now down to Tank Dell and nobody, and he is not good enough yet to overcome all those missing pieces, which we've seen with other quarterbacks this year, Jalen Hurts and others.
Well, they should be getting their number one back.
Yeah, that's the scuttlebutt. I hope it's true because I just like to see for the NFL, selfishly for my fantasy teams, but for the real reason, just it's good football, man. The dude's great. I'd love to see him back.
Yep. And we both got that one wrong. We both picked Houston.
Yes, we got it grossly wrong, and there's a couple things about that game. Did you see this poor Malachi Corley? Who I don't even
Oh my God, oh my goodness.
I mean, you got to feel like it's his own stupid fault, but you're also like, oh, this poor guy, because that was his like he had touched the ball like 8 times all season or something. I think I remember hearing, and then he drops the ball right as he's crossing the goal line, forever
First time I remember
immortalized.
that, I think it was for the
Watson
Eagles.
or Deshaun Jackson, I mean.
Yeah, Deshaun Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah, he did the classic one he did was in college when he played for Cal and he dove for the end. You know how in college, even if you're not touched, you're down where you land, right?
Yep.
Well, he dove from like the 7 yard line for the end zone and landed on like the 2. It's a great. If you haven't seen it out there, anybody listening, go look at it. It's hilarious.
I tell you what, the Jets, Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson, both with 90 yards receiving, both with a touchdown. Wilson actually had 2 touchdowns, and one of them, wow, it was like almost like the Beckham catch.
Yeah, it was incredible, and this is what the Jets and their fans were hoping for when they traded for Adams.
Yeah.
It took a minute for Rodgers to get comfortable with what's his name, Garrett Wilson, but that's happened and been in effect for a few weeks now, and we know it's going to happen with Adams, and there it was. I mean, that's best case scenario for Jets right there. That it actually worked like that you were hoping. Man,
All right. Well, hang on. There was something else I wanted to add. My bad here.
oh no worries. Oh, and while you're thinking about it, I'd just like to say that Kirk Herbstreit stinks. I've tried with this guy, and I wish he would just go back to college to game day because he has nothing good to contribute to a game.
I guess because it was the Thursday game, it's not part of what I'm looking at here. So
Right.
we'll just
Okay.
move on. That's fine.
No worries.
Um, okay, so we got that one wrong. Now the next one we both got right. Atlanta 27, Dallas 21. But the story now is Dak Prescott will be missing multiple weeks. What that really means, I don't know. But at this point, it doesn't matter. I mean, this team is done. The season's over. I wouldn't even play CD Lamb next week. They're saying he's going to play, but he's got a shoulder. I don't know exactly what it was called. something with his shoulders going on.
I think he's got
And
that same AC joint strain
that's what it
thing that
is. That's
Jordan
it.
Mason's been dealing with for a month and a half now.
Yep. AC joint sprain. That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, just not a horrible game for the Cowboys. Lost. I thought Bland was coming back. He didn't come back. Parsons still isn't back. Lawrence isn't back. Uh, Diggs is all banged up. He's got a tear in his calf. He's playing with.
Mm.
They're beat up defensively. They're inept offensively. They have no running game whatsoever. And now Dak Prescott is out, and CeeDee Lamb should be out. And if not, he's going to be limited.
Yeah, they're in a world of hurt. And I saw earlier today that Jerry Jones said on one of his radio shows that it's likely that Dak goes on the IR. So we're talking a minimum of 4 games.
Oh yeah, I was figuring that anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, they're
Um.
in trouble. And they did announce that Cooper Rush is starting this week. They're not going to roll the dice on Trey
Okay,
Lance,
that's
which
fine.
who cares? Because I don't think Trey Lance is the answer. I know Cooper Rush isn't the answer. So at some point you're going to see Trey Lance. I have to assume, but not
I
this.
would too. Um. The Cowboys had 4 drives result in a turnover on downs, which is the most by Dallas in a game since 1993.
Oh wow, wow. So wait, that means they went for it on fourth down 4 times and missed.
And
Is that
didn't
what
get
that
it.
means?
They had 4 turnover on downs. Yep.
Incredible. Wow, I don't remember ever hearing that.
But the Falcons obviously played well. They went to Bijan again, but I gotta say, um, Dallas got 137 yards on them on the ground, and they're the worst rushing attack in the league. And they averaged 6.5 yards a run. So Atlanta has some things to clean up, I think.
Oh, no doubt. They've been in a lot of shootouts. Their defense is not awesome. But I will say they gave it up on a day the Cowboys decided to give Rico Dowdle the ball like more than 10 times because that's
Yep,
the one running back that's worth a damn on that roster.
yep.
And
They held
help
they
that
held the
Zeke got
Cowboys to
suspended, by the way.
who did?
Zeke.
Oh, he's just yeah. Well, I guess he's been missing meetings and stuff.
Well, that's the one way to ensure that the idiot McCarthy doesn't give him the ball.
Right.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah, I mean they watched. I mean Cooper Rush replaced Prescott and led them on an 86-yard TD drive in the final 5 minutes and make it a one-score game with the 2-point conversion. That had no business being a one-score game.
Right. Yeah. I'm not gonna rip on the. I mean, it was a garbage time touchdown that really didn't mean much, so I'm not gonna rip on the Falcons much for that.
I haven't heard anything on Drake London though.
Yeah, hip. I think I saw a hip pointer or something about some kind of hip thing, if I remember right. But I haven't heard anything on length of time out or anything like that. I did wait. You know what? I did see right after the game, the coach said he's going to be day to day, which at least gives you hope he might play this week. I'll look for it while we're talking.
Okay. Anything else that we need to really dive into in this game?
I don't think so. I mean, the Dak thing, this feels like the nail in the coffin for the Cowboys season. Obviously, with Dak going out. I mean, they're kind
Yep.
of it's a shame for them because they get Micah Parsons back this week finally, right when Dak goes out. So
Yeah, are they though?
well, that's what I just saw on ESPN earlier.
Like he's definitely playing.
I don't I did not see definitely, but I saw that he was expected to play.
Okay, all right. Yeah, Darnell Mooney had 88 yards. Bijan Robinson 86. Um, yeah, Cousins not spectacular, just solid, and they did what they needed to do against a team that was injured and not very good to begin with.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's the perfect assessment of this game. Oh, and the last thing I want to say about this game personally is what a signing Darnell Mooney ended up being.
Yeah, right. Wow.
And who like he flashed here and there decently in Chicago, but it shows you the difference between hideous quarterback play and very good quarterback play. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's a career changer for this guy. Good for him.
Yep. Yeah. By the way, 13 penalties in that game. Houston and the Jets. Jets are the most penalized team in the league. That one had 16 penalties.
Okay, okay, yeah, nice. You got to work hard to beat the Raiders in penalties too. Good for them.
Okay, let's move on. The next game we got here is Baltimore over Denver. We both got this one right, but we did not get the score right. We were giving Denver probably a little bit too much respect. I had 27-10. You had 28-20, but they blew them out 41-10.
Crusher, absolute
Kind of
destruction.
a situation where I I don't know what to think of Denver. I
It's
don't know.
yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. They're tough to figure.
Bo Nix caught a touchdown pass though. That was kind of cool.
Yes, yes. And I started him in a fantasy game because I had a bye week nightmare, injury nightmare. I mean, because I had Jordan Love and I didn't know if he was going to play, and I didn't want to play him if he did play. So luckily, he caught that touchdown pass and it's made a solid game for him. But yeah, no, they're a tough team to figure. They're 5-4,
Yeah,
but
they
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 just lost to a team that was the same record as them going into that game by 40 points. So or 30 points. So what do what the hell do you make of that?
I say, excuse me, Denver. It was playing over their head a little bit, I think, and Baltimore has not been playing up to their standards.
Yeah, no, I agree.
There's
They
no
were
business for them having the same record.
completely agree, especially given that one of those losses the Ravens had was against the Raiders, who I still can't imagine what happened that week, other than football's football. But that's crazy.
Lamar Jackson was 16 for 19.
Yeah, for 280 yards, that's a big number on 19 attempts.
Yep, three touchdowns, two to Zay Flowers. He had 127 yards. Of
Big game.
course, Derrick Henry had 106 and two. On the Broncos side, Cortland Sutherland had a nice game with 122 yards. Bo Nix kind of pedestrian as well. But yeah, this is Baltimore showing us, basically what's what.
Yeah, I agree. That's a perfect way of putting it. That really is because yeah, I still think they're the either the best or second best team in the AFC, and Denver is going like I won't be surprised if they don't make the playoffs, even though if they at the end of the day they're in. I'd have to look at their schedule to really fit. In fact, we should probably do that at the halfway point of the season. Maybe take a look at playoff contenders' schedules. In another week or two.
Yeah,
Um,
I would agree to that. I would agree with that.
nice. That's cool. Okay. Um, and I'd have to look at their schedule, but I'm not going to be picking them over many teams that are their record or better. I don't. In fact, I don't know that I would pick them against any. I'd have to look at it hard. But yeah, Peyton's done a good job coaching this team up this year. Nix is a way better than we thought he would be, and that has amounted to a team a little over 500 and won a couple games maybe they shouldn't have. So credit to them, and I think they're a team looking forward to be aware of for sure. I don't know if they make the playoffs this year.
Totally agree. Just a quick latest on Drake London is a hip is considered day to day.
Okay. Okay. Good. That's all right. Cool. Cool. I'm glad it's not a long term thing. That would be a bummer for NFL.
And Baltimore's actually got quite a few injuries.
What's going on there?
Keaton Mitchell has a knee. He's in a backup running back, but backup receiver Wallace is limited. But Isaiah likely didn't practice or did not play. Um, a couple defensive ends are out, and the defensive tackle is also limited.
Yeah.
And
There's
and the guard Patrick McCurry is limited as well.
okay. Oh yeah. 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 Okay. Yeah. No, this time of year, man. These injury reports are getting big, 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 big.
You're not kidding.
It's crazy. It really is. A lot of attrition. Yeah. And would you agree that Lamar Jackson is the MVP leader in the clubhouse right now?
Yep, I
Okay.
would.
Okay, because I was thinking about that and I wanted to see if I was thinking right. I think so too. All right.
Yep. And the Texans' offensive line is terrible. By the way,
Yeah.
going back to that game again. Sorry, that information I was looking at before I finally found it. Um, Giving up the 8 sacks, they actually worked out 4 offensive linemen on Monday.
Yeah, in the middle of a season, which is crazy. And they're down. I know they're down at least a center and a guard. I don't know if they're missing anybody else. But
But 8 sacks, that's too much.
it's crazy. That's insane. That's a lot. And the that's more like the Jets we thought were going to be coming into this season, but they haven't been a menace pass rush this year. You know what I mean? So
No,
they did it against a team that wasn't doing great pass rush either. So yeah, the Texans have some issues, man. They're and it's almost all offense, like it's almost all passing game, even actually, because their running game is killer. Mixon ran for over 100 yards again. Most of it was in the first half because the the Jets adapted smartly. Whoever, somebody did something right in the defensive room in that team this week because they adapted to what the Texans were doing well. Mixon only ran for like 20 some yards in the second half after running for almost 100 in the first half, and they couldn't pass at all, as evidenced by the stats you read earlier. So, yeah, they have
yep,
some things to shore up, like you said about the Falcons. Falcons have defensive things to shore up and are a solid playoff contender. Texans a solid playoff contender who have massive offensive things to shore up. I'm with you.
totally agree. Okay, we're gonna move on to the Dolphins and the Bills.
Okay.
Bills win 30-27. We both got it right. You had 34-27, so you were pretty close.
Not bad, not bad.
But I was watching this game here and there, and at one point I saw Tua scramble and then dive head first.
Yeah, I saw.
What are you doing, man?
Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't know. That guy. I think everybody's just crossing their fingers, hoping he gets through this somehow. It just feels like a ticking time bomb.
But he was 25 for 28,
The dude can play. There is no freaking doubt about it.
231 yards, two touchdowns. Atran ran for 63. Tyreek Hill had 80 yards. On the Bills side, Josh
Real quick,
Allen.
Craig. I'm sorry. Don't leave out that Achan also caught 8 passes for 58 yards.
Yes, he did. That's right. Yep.
Which is why he's going to win a lot of people their fantasy leagues if Tua
Yeah.
stays healthy. Please continue. Sorry.
There was not a whole lot on the Buffalo side. I mean, Josh Allen passed for 235 yards and three touchdowns, so obviously that's good. But nobody, the leader was 70 yards, which was Ray Davis of
Right.
all people.
Right. Yes. Ray Davis, by the way. Listen, James Cook is too good to worry about Ray Davis replacing him or anything. But if another team that needed a running back more had drafted Ray Davis this year, he'd be starting for them already. This guy is electric.
Yep. James Cook did not have, didn't do much, 44 yards rushing and 25 receiving. After Ray Davis, 70 yards, Shakir had 50 and Kincaid had 32. Those were the top three receivers.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And that's a typical Khalil Shakir stat line, by the way. 6 catches, 50 yards, 4 catches, 42 yards, 7 catches, 63 yards. That's what he is. And he's a if you're in a PPR league, he's a guy that you can chuck in and have some value. But he's never going to blow away a game with a 20-yard per catch stat line. And by the way, Amari Cooper didn't play. Which welcome to the world of Amari Cooper because the dude is on the injury list all the time. You know what I mean?
Yes, he is.
I didn't even hear about that leading into the game. Did you?
No, I had no idea.
Didn't hear about it at all. And then he ended up not playing with a wrist injury that I'd never even heard about. So that was fascinating to me. But yeah, and I still think great addition. Love the addition. But welcome to life with Amari Cooper because he does hang on the injury report quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, well, real quick, there was 12 penalties in that one. Denver, Baltimore had 15 for the
Okay.
penalty catch up here. It seems to be about 12 to 13 is the average now. We were a little low when we said 10, but I think it's about 12 to 13.
Yeah, yeah, and I found a thing that I wanted to bring up too. That the average in the NFL last year was 13 point something. So your research landed in exactly the right number. Good on you.
Oh yeah.
Well done.
All right. I think what I'll do is I'll just mention it when it's something outrageous one way or the other, because if they're right around the same range, there's no reason to mention it. But if there's something way too high or way too low, I'll say something.
Yeah, like that one last week that had whatever the hell 20 penalties or whatever it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was insane.
All right. Let's see here. The next game we're going to hit is Carolina gets the win. They beat New Orleans 23-22, and I almost picked this. This is the game where I put Carolina in, and then I heard that Carr was playing or whatever, and I changed it to New Orleans.
Well, I was right there with you because if you remember correctly, I caveated myself right out of success here.
That's right.
You know, it was wild that Carr coming back made almost zero impact on the Saints this week, which was astonishing to me because they were getting such bad quarterback play. I thought him being back would at least make them better than one of the worst teams in the league, but it didn't even do that.
Nope. Nope, not at all. Hang on, I gotta sneeze.
Oh,
Sorry.
bless you. And while you're recovering, I'll throw the headline for the Saints: Dennis Allen out of there.
Yes, fired.
And some Saints fans I know wish that happened a season and a half ago.
Yeah. Yeah, he well, I mean, he needed to get to go. I mean, they've lost what, 7 in a row?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They
After
started the
starting
year
out 2 and
two.
0?
Yeah, yeah. They started the year 2-0, and they're now 2-7.
Unbelievable. Alvin Kamara though still does his thing.
He's a
Uh,
beast.
155 yards rushing and another 6 catches for 60 yards receiving.
Incredible, and he's the only threat on the team, which makes it that much more
He had,
impressive.
he had 35 touches. He had
Yeah,
29 carries and 6 catches.
yeah. And this is a guy a lot of people wanted to write off the last couple of years because he was playing hurt and didn't look great and blah blah blah. Which I understand it because running back can age quickly, but this guy is far from done. And by the way, sad note, Chris Olave went out with a brutal concussion. That is now, I didn't know this, that is now his 5th documented concussion since his senior year at Ohio State.
Oh no.
I know. And it was a bad one. And it was a scary one. And so they played most of this game without Chris Olave. He caught one catch for 13 yards and was out for the rest of the game. And so Kamara did all that as the sole focus of the Saints offense, which is unbelievably impressive.
Yep. Bryce Young looked kind of functional in this. Not great, but at least functional.
He has been better since coming back from the benching. He really has. He's not great. He's not, I mean, he's going to have to do a lot more to be around at the end of his contract. But he does look better. He was looking horrific before, and now he looks okay on the bad end of okay, which is way better than he was.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Um, yeah, 171 yards, a touch and a pick, but it's not it's not a dumpster fire. Chuba Hubbard, 72 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's really it. The thing is, too, we gotta consider the fact that Bryce Young has nobody to throw to at all.
No, I mean, geez, you got Xavier Leggett, their rookie first round draft pick, who has been okay, has had, he's shown a little bit of promise, but nothing, no, I mean, nowhere near any of the other first round receivers that have been doing well. Nothing like that. You know what I mean? And what? They traded Deontay Johnson a few weeks ago. Adam Thielen's been on the IR since the first quarter of the season. So yeah, I'm with you 100%. They have bupkis, man. Absolutely. I mean, Leggett may or may not turn into a player. Early returns are murky, but and he's the best thing they have.
Sanders led them today, this game. 4 catches, 87 yards.
And he's a rookie tight end to keep your eye on. The thing with this, if you want some real fantasy nerd stuff, is if Trimble, Tony, what's his name? Tommy Tremble, something. Tommy Tremble
Okay.
plays for if he is healthy and on the active roster, do not touch Jadavian Sanders in your fantasy rosters. If Tommy Tremble is out, he has days like this.
Oh, okay.
Tremble's a really good blocker, and he's not much of a catcher. He's been in the league for maybe 4 or 5 years now. Sanders is a rookie. When Tremble's been out twice this year, he's put up nice games. So keep your eye on that. It's because tight end is a tough position this year.
Yeah. Do we know anything about Darren Rizzi, the new
Darren,
coach?
I don't. I saw that.
I've never heard that name before in my life.
I saw that name in the stats, and I should have looked it up because usually when I see somebody I don't know, I do that, but I
Well,
didn't.
I'm saying his new. That's the new
Oh,
coach.
the coach, the special teams coordinator. That's right.
Okay. I didn't even know that.
Yes, which was interesting because the last time I remember, well, no, there was. There's been a couple times when special teams coordinators have been elevated. The biggest one ever is Harbaugh in Baltimore. So if they get lucky, they get another Harbaugh. If not, they get there was a guy from the Raiders I think that took over as special teams coordinator a few years back that didn't do so well. So yeah, and this poor guy has nothing to work with. So if he wins 3 games between here and the end of the season, somebody ought to hire him full time.
And apparently they haven't decided between Bryce Young or Andy Dalton for next week.
That's crazy. There's no point in going back to Dalton. Like you have to. To
Yeah.
me, you play, especially since he's played a little better. You know what I mean? You gotta.
Yeah.
This is your first round draft pick. You gotta find out, man. Like if at the end of the season you think he's done, great. At least you know. But man, give him 7 more games or whatever's left here and let him play. It doesn't make any sense to me. Dalton's not going to do anything for you moving forward. Nothing.
Totally
Uh,
agree.
by the way, 2 funny stats of the week. I forgot one of them during when we were talking Dolphins Bills. So let me flashback real quick. Jalen Waddle, 2 catches, -4 yards, and a touchdown.
Jeez, how does that happen?
So I was wondering that too, and then it turns out they tried some trick play on the last play of the game, and he lost 17 yards.
Oh, there you go.
So that, and then all of a sudden it made sense. Now here's my favorite stat line of the week, though, from our current game we're discussing. Miles Sanders, my old guy from the Eagles, 2 rushes, -5 yards. 2 receptions, -5 yards.
That's a productive day.
How about that, my man? And by the way, while we're on Miles Sanders, because it's starting to look like he's not going to be in the league much longer after this season. He, if you never saw the YouTube video of him on when he was still in the Eagles 2 years ago, did you ever see this, Craig? Where what's the Adam Sandler football movie, Waterboy?
Yep.
He is making Adam Sandler's weird like sound he makes when he goes to gets mad and goes to tackle people in the Waterboy when he blocks as a running back the entire game one game.
Really?
Yeah, and somebody put a highlight package together of him making that sound as he goes into blocks. It's hilarious.
Hey, whatever gives you the edge, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly, man. Hey, you need to go Waterboy. It's all good. All right, that's all I have to say about that game then.
All right, let's go on.
Sure.
Cincinnati 41, Vegas 24. By the way, the last game, New Orleans, Carolina had 16 penalties. I think that's worthy of noting.
Oh, that's worthy. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Okay, Cincinnati 41, Vegas 24. We both got this one right. By the way, the Carolina one we both got wrong because we picked New Orleans.
Yes.
Um, but what does scoring 41 on a stinky Raiders team, really mean for Cincinnati?
I don't know. They are so hard to figure out. I'll say one thing about this that is encouraging for them for sure is they did this without T Higgins, and they really struggle without T Higgins sometimes. So even though it's against one of the worst teams in football, I'll give them some credit for getting it done without one of their best players. Um, Other than that, who knows, man? This is a weird team to figure. I really think Zach Stacy is coaching for his job down the stretch here. If they don't end up over 500, I think he's gone. But I don't know, man. What do you think? Because I can't figure this team
Well,
out at all. The only thing I'll say real quick is they finally get Chase Brown due to injury. They let Chase Brown be the number one guy all game, and boy did he deliver.
totally agree there. I would say I'm starting to buy in again a little bit, at least a little bit, because of how well Joe Burrow's playing. He had 5 touchdowns,
Yeah, man. Yep.
251 yards, 5 touchdowns, and the fact that you just said too about Brown, and they decide on a singular lead back that can do something, and you still got Chase there, Jamar Chase. Gasecki had a big game, had 100 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I'm starting to buy back in again, mostly because of Joe Burrow. That's basically my main reason is because I've always liked Burrow, and the fact that he's playing that well and doing that well, that's something that yeah, I'm down for, and I can believe in a little bit, at least a little bit, because they're now they're 4-5.
Right. Yeah, they're like, I mean, they're not out of this like we thought when they were 1-4. So I don't know. I don't have a. It's so hard to figure this team out because they lost so many games they should have won. They were so bad early. I don't know. I don't believe yet. I believe Joe Burrow is awesome, but I also believe Joe Burrow was awesome when they were 1-4. So now
Right.
the other thing I want to say about this game, Trey Hendrickson, 4 sacks.
Yes.
4 sacks, and he set some kind of record this season for most. One of those next gen stats I don't really understand, but apparently he had more pressure on a quarterback than anybody else this season in one game.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So if that guy gets cooking, because he hadn't been awesome this season like he usually is, and if that's the start of him becoming Trey Hendrickson, the normal Trey Hendrickson that ends up with 15 sacks, give or take, every year for the last few years, that's a big boost for them too. So that's another thing that could go towards your point for sure.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry. Real quick before we move on, we have the Raiders, which by the way, this is going to be it for Antonio Pierce, obviously. But they cleaned house on a couple coaches this week. I don't know if you saw this. They fired their offensive coordinator and another offensive coach. I forget what it was. And in the offensive coordinator's replacement, they brought back one of
I
maybe
know. Yep. 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 I know where you're going.
and maybe Craig, tell me what you think. Maybe the greatest coordinator of all time, Norvell Turner, back in
Norv
the league.
Turner back in the league. How old is he?
I don't know. I'm going to look at that right now. Oh,
He's
you
got
gotta
to
love
be
it.
well into his 70s, right?
I would think. I would think. Now he was also coaching, and he wasn't that long ago. But when he was coaching, like Marv Levy was considered to be like ancient when he was like 70 years old. Remember that?
Yeah.
Now there's a handful of coaches in the league that are in their 70s. You know what I mean? It's not that weird anymore. So let's see. 72. So,
Yep.
how
Good for
about
Norv. Good for Norv.
I love it, man. I love it. That dude's a great coach. So I don't know if he's
He's
still
a great coordinator. He's not a great head coach, but he's a great coordinator.
he's a stinky head coach, but he was a great coordinator. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, I just unearthed a couple of little nuggets here about some other games we already talked about, but I want to see some interesting things here.
Absolutely.
Lamar Jackson has now thrown for the most games with a perfect passer rating since 1950
In one season or
in his career.
in his career. In his career?
He has four. Tom Brady has three. Peyton Manning has three.
Man, you could have given me a 75 guesses and I never would have guessed Lamar Jackson would have that record. That's incredible.
Kurt Warner and Ben Roethlisberger also have three.
That's insane. And the fact that the guy that has that record is also the best rushing quarterback in the history of football is incredible.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Um,
Good one.
the Bills are dominating the Dolphins. They've won 13 of the last 14 games against them.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
And I'm just going through the games that we've already done so we can catch up here.
Sure.
Alvin Kamara has 8 consecutive seasons with at least 1,000 scrimmage yards.
That's he's a beast, man. He's a beast.
And Joe Burrow became the only player with multiple games of 5+ passing touchdowns in the 2024 season. He's the first one to
Nice.
have more than one game with five.
Well, if you had given me some guesses on that, I would have got the Burrow pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep,
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me because he's great.
yep. Okay.
That's awesome.
Let's
Good stuff, man. I like that.
Yeah, we'll have some more of that coming up. Let's move on. What's next here? If I can get to it. And I can't get to it. Why can't what's going on?
Boys, you want me to call out a game, or you need to find your stuff? Whatever you need.
All right, I got it.
Coolness.
Chargers 27, Cleveland 10. Any resurgent thoughts of the Browns after beating Baltimore were quickly put to bed. I'm starting to also buy in a little bit to the Chargers. They're now 5-3 as well. Uh, Justin Herbert is playing very well. He's
Yes,
not lighting it up, but he's not making mistakes. He's doing what he's asked to do. Just as solid as a rock, 282 yards and 2 touchdowns. Love to see J.K. Dobbins with his 85 yards and two.
absolutely.
Quentin Johnston, 118 yards and a touch on my bench in my fantasy league, so that was great. Let's see. Yeah, and Jameis Winston, 26 for 46, but there it is, 3 interceptions.
They got Jameis.
Jameis giveth and Jameis taketh away.
Perfect. Yeah. Listen, the league is more fun when somebody lets Jameis Winston start. Unfortunately for the team that does, he's going to do this. So I hope they stick with him. If he has a couple more 3 interception games, I'm sure they'll go to the three-name fella, whose name I'll learn if he starts again.
Yep,
And, but Jameis is Jameis, that's what he does, And that one touchdown came with like a couple minutes left in the game, so that was total garbage time. I'll tell you what, if you're a fantasy guy out there and said somehow Cedric Tillman hasn't been picked up yet, get this guy on your team. This guy is the guy. As long as Jameis Winston's playing, this guy is startable,
yep, absolutely. Let's see here. Herbert is on fire.
dude. He's tearing it up.
Yep. He had a pressure rate of like well over 50%, which is I guess high. I don't know those stats as well as maybe I should, but I guess that's a high pressure rate, and he was able to still get through it, stay poised in the pocket, and he had his sixth straight start without throwing an interception.
Yeah, no, this is a. I think everybody was wondering how the pairing of Harbaugh and Herbert was going to go. And I think myself and a lot of other people were worried that you were going to take this guy who had been a prolific passer and just turn him into a game manager. What they found over the course of the first 9 weeks of this season is a perfect balance in the last 2 or 3 weeks of Herbert being able to do his thing, and they're still grinding the clock and playing good defense. I mean, this is the best case scenario for a San Diego fan in year one of Jim Harbaugh or wherever the Chargers play anymore. And I kind of hope you didn't hear this because I want to hear your reaction. Did you hear any of Jim Harbaugh talking about the toughness of Justin Herbert?
I did not.
Oh, this is awesome. Okay, so this ties together 2 things. One, Harbaugh came out hard in the press conference after the game about why his quarterback is not getting any late hit calls. Apparently, I didn't see any of what he was talking about. I don't know if it's legit or overstated, but apparently Herbert was hit a lot and is one of the only quarterbacks in the league or something that hasn't had a roughing called on him all year. So Harbaugh decided it was time to do some stomping for for Herbert to get his penalties. In the midst of this, then he goes on a talk show, and this is the quote that I love, and this is why it would be awesome to play for Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh calls Justin Herbert the toughest quarterback in NFL history.
Wow, that's going out on a limb.
Yes, yes, totally. He also compared Justin Herbert to Shaquille O'Neal in Shaq's prime in the NBA and said he doesn't get calls because he's a big guy, just like Shaq didn't.
Wow, wow. Okay, well, I don't know about all that. Maybe you should pump the brakes on that a little bit. But I see what he's trying to stick up for his guy. I can respect that.
Yeah, man. No, I'm with you 100%. That's why I say you got to. I don't agree with almost anything he said, but without looking at the bad calls, I don't know anything about that. But I'm not going to say Justin Herbert is tougher than Jim McMahon. You know what I mean? But you got to love it as a guy that's playing for him. Got to love
Yeah,
it.
yep. He sticks up for his guys.
Love
Okay,
it.
ready to move on.
Oh, and one last thing. Your boy Josh Palmer had a very Josh Palmerian game. 2 catches for 63 yards and a touchdown. Just enough to get you excited, but not enough to be like, I can use this guy.
Nope, nope. I cut him in all my leagues that I had him in.
As you should.
Yep. Okay, 27-22, Washington over the Giants. We both got this one right. About what we thought in terms of, well, you had them laying a smackdown a little bit, 31-16. I had it closer, 24-20. Jaden Daniels had an okay day, 15 for 22, 209 yards. He did have two touchdowns, ran for 35, but I mean, no one's really lighting up the stat board at all for Washington. Kind of surprising that they won. They didn't win the time of possession. Giants had a 54% third down efficiency. Washington's defense is struggling.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's been a case all. That's been the case all year with their D, and they've it's been their weakness, and it improved. There was one point where they were one of the worst rush defenses in the league, and they got it to about middle of the pack. So it has improved somewhat, although it didn't show a whole lot this week on third down. That is for sure.
No, definitely not. Daniel Jones accounted for three touchdowns, two in the air, one on the ground. He had 54 yards rushing, 174 throwing. The throwing touchdown went to I'm sorry, the leading receiver was Neighbors, obviously, with 9 catches and 59 yards. Boy, did they try to feed him. The next guy had 3 catches.
Yeah, they really do, man. They really do, and it's understandable, but it is, you know. Oh, little stat for you. Now, remember I was talking about Wandale Robinson, who, by the way, I believe this week had another very Wandale game, 6 catches for 30 yards, to actually somehow manage to lower his yards per catch from 7 to 5. Um, I looked up just out of curiosity to see, because I was like, man, this has to be some kind of all time low, you know. And I just was curious if I was right. If he goes at his current pace, he will break the all time low yards per catch by over a yard and a half. And
Wow.
that guy was Larry Fitzgerald in his age 41 season.
Wow.
Okay, so this is heading towards some epic, like inefficient receiver action. I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah, I will say there was that one penalty. Did you see this?
The one that cost Wandale his touchdown, or which one?
Yeah, the one that they called the pick on.
Yeah, yeah, and that was dicey.
That was dicey for sure. A
Yep,
little ticky tack, but Daniel Jones still. I mean, he just shoots himself in the foot and the team. Um,
he had a bad fumble.
he had a bad fumble. He had 0 yards at halftime.
Yeah, I know, it's insane.
He was 4 for 6 passing with a TD and 0 yards.
It's insane, man. It's insane. I don't think. Let me ask you this: at the beginning of this season, I know like your dad and a lot of Giants fans were still trying to hold out hope on Daniel Jones. Where are they at now? What's sports talk? What's your dad think? You know what I mean? Are they still trying to hold out, or are they finally throwing in the towel?
I'm not too sure about anybody else, but on the sports talk, they're about at the end of their rope. The
Okay,
sports talk is definitely uh, you know ready to move on.
right on.
My,
Man, that
my
makes
buddy
sense.
Ty, who's a Giants fan, who's a big Daniel Jones fan, even he's kind of ready to move on. It seems is well, at least more willing to accept it.
Okay, okay.
He
Yeah, that
still
makes
won't
sense.
come right out and say he's bad though.
No. And listen. I get it. I get it. It's they're his guy, and I get it. And they can still kind of hang their hat on this offensive line thing if they really want to, because Andrew Thomas went out again, but it wasn't like he was tearing up the league before that.
Yeah, fortunate OPI flag went their way. Otherwise, the Commanders would have been in trouble because the Giants were ready to make this a very close game if that touchdown went in.
And by the way, if Wandale had caught that touchdown pass, his yards per catch would have gone down even further.
Yeah, yeah, and Giants had 5.3 yards a carry. I mean, that kid Tracy's pretty good, but still.
Yeah, he didn't. The game script didn't allow him to run the ball enough to be a big giant factor this week. But that dude can play. Like, I'm impressed with that guy. I think that guy's their starting running back next year. I mean,
Yeah,
barring
why
something.
not?
Yeah, I mean, he looks good and he's cheap. He was a free agent, I think, or a late round draft pick, right? One of the two.
Yep. Okay. Um, as for Washington, yeah, they just keep winning though. They're finding the ways. On a day where they didn't have Brian Robinson, but they're still, they're very, very good. They're 7-2, and they're going to be a tough loss, tough out in the playoffs when that time comes. Jaden Daniels is he's even better than Stroud was last year, I think.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. And listen, Stroud had one of the most impressive rookie seasons of a quarterback ever. And Jaden Daniels is way better. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, way
he's
better.
so accurate.
I'm blown away, man. Like, I'm pissed at myself for not seeing this coming out. And I mean, I liked him. I thought he was, but I don't know what thought I saw that he was going to be better than Caleb Williams, but it is not even close right now. And yeah, no, he's been as impressive as you can be. You know, the only concern with this guy is injury stuff because of the slight build. But Lamar Jackson has learned how to stay healthy in his eighth year in the league finally, so maybe it'll happen for him too. But yeah, no, it couldn't be a better season. And Noah Brown, your old boy, all of a sudden is the one of their linchpins.
Yeah, what's going on there?
He led the team in receiving this week. 5 catches, 60 yards. I don't know. Maybe it was the power of the Hail Mary, and they decided he could get targeted more. But fascinating.
All right, from one rookie quarterback to another, New England falls to Tennessee. I caveated my way right out of this. I said if May starts, I wanted New England. He did start, but they lost. And you had Rudolph. If Rudolph starts, you had Tennessee. And Rudolph did start, and Tennessee won.
Man, I'll tell you this. Listen, and I understood where you were coming from entirely. I was a little nervous about this one. And Drake May, while he did have rookie stuff with 2 picks, this guy he's more electric on his feet than I even realized. And I was high on his mobility coming out. This dude ran 8 times for 95 yards.
Yeah, yep, 95 yards. That's crazy.
Yeah, and if anybody out there has not, and because who watched this game, right? But I started watching highlights afterwards because I wanted to see how it ended up in overtime. If anybody hasn't seen the touchdown pass to Ramondre Stevenson by Drake May that put this into overtime, watch it. The second you hear me, pause this, go watch it, and then come back and listen to us again because it was incredible. He scrambled for longer than Jaden Daniels did on the Hail Mary play.
Yeah, yes, he did.
And then
Yep.
he was halfway down getting tackled when he threw the ball. So that was something else, man. That was the bad news for the Patriots fans is they're awful this year. The good news is I think they have their quarterback of the future. I mean, at least early returns are highly encouraging.
Yes, definitely. I like that kid a lot.
I do too, man. I'm impressed so far. And like I've said before, but it bears repeating, to do it for that organization with their current roster is beyond impressive because they couldn't be worse offensively. So
Yeah.
very, very impressive. Very impressive. And I want to shout out Tony Pollard too, because I have Tony Pollard on a couple teams because he was so easy to get this year. I thought he was so lowly regarded coming into this year that I have him on several of my teams. And I didn't play him this week because the reports were so bad about his injury. Like he might be, all the way up. He was questionable even at the 1 o'clock kickoffs. They were like, he's going to play, but it's not going to be much. 28 carries for 128 yards and another 3 catches for 26 yards for a guy who wasn't supposed to play hardly.
Right. And
So,
a big middle finger to you.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, big fat middle finger to me when he left his almost 30 fantasy points on 3 of my benches.
By the way, this game had 18 friggin' penalties.
Oh, there you go. As you might expect from two teams who stink like this.
18 penalties. Come on.
That's brutal, dude. That's brutal. Oh, and I want to point out the Titans, who are just having a brutal season anyway, it just got worse for them because they lost 2 starters this week for the season. They lost Lloyd Cushenberry, their big center signing from the Broncos, out for the year. Quadre Diggs, their starting safety, out for the year. So these guys are in trouble. They're bad and they're plummeting.
By the way, do you want to know how long Drake May scrambled for on that play to Stevenson?
I do.
He scrambled for 11.8 seconds.
I mean, that is an eternity when you have 4 or 5 or however many people were rushing on that play, almost 300-pound or more guys running after you. I mean, that's an eternity.
And he's the first rookie since 1970 to have at least 5 touchdowns and 200 rushing yards in his first 5 games.
Very impressive, man. And again, if anybody out there that is not a massive football nerd can name more than one of their receivers, I'll
Yeah,
come.
yeah.
I'll fly to your hometown and shake your hand.
By the way, this is saying that Jaden Daniels was a little longer.
You know what? I thought about that when I said it, and I think he was he like 12 point something?
It doesn't have the time, but it says this is the second longest time to throw on a touchdown pass, only surpassed by Jaden Daniels' Hail Mary from last week.
I'm glad you found that because as soon as it came out of my mouth, I thought, "Ooh, I might be wrong about that." Now, here's what made Mays even more impressive: is um,
The
Jaden
way he
Daniels
was, the way he was going down at the time.
and Jaden Daniels did it against a 3-man rush and a spy hanging 10 yards behind the line. Drake May did it on a real play with them
Right.
rushing at least 4 or 5 guys. So they're both incredible, but it was a little more congested with what Drake May had to deal with. So I mean, just both are 2 all-time plays, but that just even the Drake May one's a little more impressive because of the congestion in that part of the field.
Okay, now on to the most frustrating, confusing, confounding, what the hell's going on game of the week. Arizona 29, Bears 9. What the hell is Arizona? And now what's going on with the Bears?
Well, that we talked about, and I got a little excited, and I might have patted myself on the back a little too much because Caleb Williams had 2 games. I think now 3 and 4 games ago where he looked really good. And
Yep.
then ever since then, he's looked really bad. So I don't know what happened. The growth stopped, or it's, who knows? It could be a combination of things. But for right now, he has regressed badly, and it's killing him. You know, there's this team, and I know you're in agreement because we're going to talk. I want to talk about that schedule you sent me. Um, this team is not going to make the playoffs. Their schedule is brutal. Even if that schedule wasn't brutal, if Caleb Williams plays like he has the last 2 weeks, they're not going to make the playoffs anyway against every team under 500. You know what I mean? If the whole schedule was like that. So I don't know what's going on there. I thought he was really kicking in, and maybe it's just, rookies can be rookies. So maybe 3 games from now will be like, oh, he's had a nice run, and all of a sudden Keenan Allen is catching passes again, and people are doing things. But right now they look awful.
What happened here? I don't know what. I'm looking at the stats, and the Cardinals didn't do anything.
Oh, this is
James
a weird stat game for sure.
James
For sure.
Conner had 107 yards, but Kyler Murray had 154 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, no 6 yards rushing. No, the high for the receivers was 35 yards.
Yeah. Yep.
What the hell happened?
It was all backup running backs. The you remember the salad dressing running back from the Cardinals, Amari DiMarcado?
Yes,
You remember
yeah,
that guy?
he had a touchdown. Trey Benson had a touchdown. Trey McBride rushed once for a touchdown. So those are the 3 touchdowns. But still,
Yeah, yeah. That's I mean, I don't know. It's hard to tell. This is a game I wish I'd been able to see because the score doesn't add up with the stats. So I'm not quite sure how it happened. You know what I mean? And the
like,
Bears,
judging by the stats, if Chicago scored 9 points, then you would think Arizona won 10-9.
right? Exactly. Yes, and yeah. The only thing I'll say is that does add up is the Bears offensive woes. I mean they only had 241 total yards of offense. Um, Yeah, I don't know, man. This was a tough one to figure. Arizona. I will say this. This is one thing that helps it make a little more sense too. Had 6 sacks. So, but man, this is again. Arizona has been one of the 2 toughest teams to figure out in the league this year to me, between them and the Bengals. So I don't know. I think the Bears are only as good as Caleb Williams plays right now.
Wow. Yeah. They had another mental lapse at the end of the half, allowing DeMarcado to run almost untouched for 53 yards for a touchdown as the half ended.
I saw the highlight of that. I didn't realize it was his time was running out.
Yeah, I don't know if it was right then, but it was right at the end, towards
Oh,
the end of
that's
the half.
crazy. Wow. Okay. I didn't realize that. Wow.
Wow. I'm trying to see. Yeah, that it doesn't. I'm trying to get this to add up in my head, and it's just not.
It just doesn't. Yeah, no, I'm with you there, man, 100%. And The Cardinals now, I'm trying to find my standings here. The Cardinals are now 5-4, I believe, and
Yeah,
in leading the NFC West, right?
yeah, over 500.
Yeah, that's wild. That is wild. So I figure that team out, man. I can't.
Okay, let's see here. Next game, Detroit, Green Bay, 24-14. This was the one that we were really looking forward to. Thought it was going to be a good game. It was a pretty good game. We both got it right. By the way, we both picked Chicago, so we both got that wrong.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Detroit, Green Bay had 15 penalties and 24-14. And but we weren't buying it. We were both just really high on Detroit, and who isn't at this point, right?
Yeah, for real, man. For real. I'll say this: this game is not as close as the score. This was a blowout. This was a blowout. They got a 2 point. Green Bay got a 2 point conversion, a touchdown, and a 2 point conversion in the last 2 minutes. So this was a 24-6 game late into the fourth quarter. So this was destruction. And it also, did you happen to see the rain?
Oh yeah,
Well, there was a couple games that had some massive rain this week, and this was one of them.
yeah.
This was a
That's okay
game.
with me though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, this is, and I don't mind. I love weather games. One of my all-time favorite games is when Shady McCoy ran for 200 yards in the snow. So I love that kind of stuff. Um, this is a game that Jordan Love should have been sitting, I respect his toughness, but this it did not help this team to have him out there this week. I think they would have been more competitive with Malik Willis playing than a gimpy Jordan Love. So I think that was a bad mistake on their part, but it is what it is. You got to respect the dude's toughness. But yeah, that last Green Bay score came with 3:49 left. So yeah, it was a Detroit blowout. Now I do want to point out Detroit might have a fatal flaw. You talk about good teams needing to clean stuff up. Do you know what Detroit's fatal flaw is? Because I wasn't aware of just how bad this was until I was doing some research this week. Um, they.
Uh,
Oh,
I
go ahead. I'm
might
sorry.
know,
Please,
but
I asked you a question. I should let you answer it. Sorry. Please go.
no. I remember something about that, and I remember I don't remember what it was, but I remember somebody saying something similar that they've got a really real issue. I just can't remember what it was.
Okay, it is their pass defense. They have the seventh ranked rush defense, so good. That's great. They have the 29th ranked pass defense. And that is gonna
29th.
yeah, that's about as bad a flaw as you'll find on that good of a team. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So that's something to keep an eye on for sure as we progress and they play teams with better quarterbacks.
Damn. That sucks.
Yeah, it's really bad. So, and they tried to address it in the draft this year. They drafted a couple young corners, and that has worked out wonderful for the Eagles this year. They got two studs, but it hasn't worked out so well for the Lions so far. So we'll see we'll see where it lands in the long run at the end of the season. But right now, I just wanted to point that out because they are. I love they. Gun to my head, I might pick them as the best team in football right now. I'd have to really think about it, but they have a massive flaw that could come up to bite them.
All right. My computer has completely frozen.
Okay,
And it's
I
been
got whatever.
really slow, which is why I've been kind of slow getting to the next games. And now it's completely frozen. I can't do anything.
No worries. Whatever you need, just let me know.
All right. Well, I'm going to try to restart it and try to get back some of the pages that I had. But in the meantime, what do you think this means for Green Bay? The fact that they lost this one at home. Um, it's a weather game. They're supposed to be good in those, and they definitely weren't.
I don't take anything from this game other than they lost because Jordan Love was gimpy.
You think that maybe it's time? I know you mentioned that you shouldn't have played this game. Do you think they should just actually sit him next week?
I don't know because I don't know where it is now. You know what I mean? If it was aggravated or worse, then absolutely. But and I don't know when they're on a bye this week, so
Oh,
it's perfect.
perfect.
Yeah, which by the way made it even more sense that Jordan Love shouldn't have played this week. But
Right.
that's
Give
just
him 2 weeks off, 3 weeks off almost.
Yep, exactly. So it doesn't make sense to me, but that's football, man. If a guy shows a willingness to play through injury, they're going to let him in most cases. So that's just the tough guy mentality that gets in their own way sometimes. But so I don't downgrade Green Bay at all for this game, other than just making a bad decision and starting the injured quarterback.
Yeah, yeah. I still think pretty highly of them.
Yeah, they only let Detroit score 24 points, and Detroit might have the best offense in football. So that speaks pretty well of their D, and they can certainly score more points when Jordan Love is healthy. So we'll see. I still like Detroit better, but I still think Green Bay's a tough out in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
Okay. By the way, okay, the next game has we got the Rams and we got Seattle with 20 penalties.
Ooh,
That's definitely worthy of mentioning.
yes, indeed. Wow. Good lord.
And we've got the Rams winning 26-20, and you caveated your way to a win here.
Hey, usually it works in reverse. Thank goodness I got it right for once.
You said if DK doesn't play, you had the Rams, and if he did play, you had Seattle. He did not play, and the Rams won. So good on you for that one. Let's see if I can get my stuff back here. Anyway, yeah, 26-20. The Rams, now that they got, they're getting healthier again, I still don't know what to think of them.
Yeah, they're interesting, aren't they?
I'm having a little trouble with them.
Yeah, they're a fascinating team. I think. Listen, with those. By the way, as we dive into the Rams with their receivers back, let's just mention also that Puka Nakua got tossed from this game for throwing a punch,
Yes, he did.
and that was fairly early on. So that was an interesting one. You got to love a fiery player, but not that much. So yeah, I can run some stats too while you're waiting for your computer. So we got Stafford, 24 for 48, 298, two touchdowns and a pick. Kyron Williams, not the most efficient day rushing, 22 for 69, one catch for 26 yards. Cooper Kupp does his thing, 11 catches for 104 yards.
I got my computer back up. Cooper Cup had 14 targets.
Yeah, man. No, he's a target monster. And anytime Puka goes out, it's going to go up even more. So there you go.
So what's going on with Puka? Did he come out of the game?
He punched a guy in the helmet.
Oh, that's right. That you just said that. Yeah,
Yeah,
but I didn't
yeah.
know he left.
Yeah, he got suspended. He got tossed out of the game. I believe it was the first quarter, definitely the first half.
Yeah, he only had one catch, so it
Yeah,
must have been
yeah,
early.
yeah. It was very early. So yeah, Puka, man, that makes me laugh. But the Rams are interesting because all their rookie defensive linemen, Verse and Fisk, have been really good, and
Yep.
they had 7 sacks and 3 interceptions in this game. Like that's incredible.
Wow.
Now, they also gave up 363 yards in the air to Geno Smith. So those two things don't jive real well. So I still don't know what to make of them either. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, they're gonna. I guess we're gonna have to figure it out as we go with them. Um, they're about a 500 team. That's how I'm going to look at them.
Yeah, that
But
makes
I don't
sense.
know. But I don't know if they can be any more because we were so high on them early on. So in theory, we should be high on them again. But for some reason, I'm still not. I'm not there yet.
I think I'm a little higher than you. I think they have a really good chance to make the playoffs now. And I
Well,
think,
Seattle all of a sudden is not playing well at all.
yeah, Seattle has fallen off the map. Their defense has gone in the crapper.
And
I'm
Gino
really
threw 3 picks.
Gino lost this game for them. And I like Gino, but this was a terrible game. Even though he ended up with 363 yards, a lot of that, I mean, that was desperation when they were coming from behind at the end, and he was managed to pull it off. But the reason he needed to do that is because he threw a pick in the red zone that they returned for a 103-yard touchdown. So
Jackson Smith and Jigba, though, 7 catches, 180 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
incredible, incredible.
Wow.
Everything I said last week about that guy may have been wrong. He, I was like this guy because everything so far has looked like pure possession receiver type guy. Like he hasn't had a game like this in the league. And then all of a sudden he does this where he's averaging, oh my God, I can't even do the math, but a lot of yards a catch. So, I mean, geez.
Wow.
And very impressive because he already broke the mold of what I thought he was settling into as an NFL player. So, heck of a game. Yep.
Wow.
The Seahawks need to right the ship because they are in bad shape right now. Bad shape.
That 103-yard interception return was the longest defensive touchdown in Rams history.
Yes. Yes.
And the kid Kitchens traveled 128.3 yards from snap to score, the most distance traveled on a play by a ball carrier this season.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. That's really cool. That's a good stat. I love that kind of. That's awesome.
And Stafford was perfect in overtime.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay. Of
In overtime, blah, 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 doesn't have the exact stats, of course. It just
course.
said he didn't have an incompletion in overtime.
Well, and talk about highlights that you need to check out if you haven't seen them, people. The Demarcus Robinson catch to win the game was a beautiful one-hander and a gorgeous pass by Stafford. So, yeah, Demarcus Robinson, who manages to be relevant 4 times a season, whether you ask him to or not.
Yeah.
Just enough to, he'll uptick 30% in his fantasy ownership this week and not do anything again for 6 weeks. But that's when he was on the Chiefs. It was the same way. He'd pop up and have a big game here or there. So that's a fascinating one. And Cooper Cup is Cooper Cup. Yeah, I'm fascinated by this Rams team. I want to see them moving forward. If I had to pick a NFC West winner right now, I mean that might be the hardest prediction to make.
Yeah.
I mean,
The Rams are probably right there, though.
yeah, they are. They are. I mean, you have bottom to top. You have the Seahawks at 4-5, and plummeting, right? Um, the Niners 500, but scary because you still think they might be the old Niners at some point. You have the Rams at both Rams and Niners are both 4-4, and then the Cardinals are leading the division at 5-4, and I don't believe in them any more than I believe in the Seahawks, really. So I don't know what that's a tough one to call. To me, it's between the Rams and the Niners.
Yeah, I would say. I think so, too.
But it's hard to discount the Cardinals being over 500 at this point in the season already and having beat the Niners. So tough one, man, tough one. And the Rams and the the Rams and the Cardinals are both on 3-game win streaks. By the way,
Rams are playing well.
yeah,
All
fascinating,
right.
man.
Well, we got to get to your game.
Oh, here we go.
28-23, Philadelphia wins over Jacksonville. A little closer than I would have liked to have seen them at home, but regardless, they got the win. And you never apologize for a win. You win, you go home, you move on. But we got to talk about Saquon Barkley reverse leapfrogging somebody. I've
What
never seen anything like that.
what the hell? I mean, I mean, that is going to be replayed till the end of time. That is going to be right there with Earl Campbell getting his jersey ripped off piece by piece as he runs through that tackle that I've seen a million times. All these wonderful plays that you see time and time again. That was unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, this dude, every time I think I've seen everything this guy can do and I'm blown away enough by that, he does something else. And there it was. I'm freaking real. This guy is as good as it gets, man. I'm so excited that this guy got to be on a team that actually has an offensive line finally.
He generated more rushing yards than expected by the advanced metrics by over 55% of his carries.
Yeah,
Meaning he gets the ball and half the time the metrics say he should go down in 2 or 3 yards, and he got more yardage than that.
yeah, which by that stat, he should have ended up with less than 70 rushing yards. And he got 160, 159 to be technical. I mean, this dude is as good as it gets, man, and it's fun to watch. Yeah, no, I can't rave enough about what Barkley's done in Philly so far. It's really fun to see. Really fun to see. All right.
Well,
Anything else you want to throw out there before I go off on this game a little bit?
no, I'll just say that I like the way Jacksonville shows some fight. Um,
Absolutely.
Lawrence threw 2 picks, but he was under duress a lot of the time. And yeah, like I said, they showed some fight. Got to give them credit for that. But they just, they got outclassed by a better team. That's basically what it boils down to for me. And yeah, and Barkley stole the show from it. I mean, Devonta Smith had a nice day, but this was the Saquon Barkley show. And yeah, that play, I'll never, like you said, we'll never forget it. But go ahead. You're
Unbelievable,
up.
man. I'm so with you. I'm so with you. And you said Devontae Smith had a nice day, and you are correct. And that catch was as the equal to of the one that Garrett Wilson made.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody that hasn't seen it, go check out that Devontae Smith catch. It was insane. Uh, yeah, it was mostly he brought in his second hand when he was almost to the ground, but it was almost a one-handed catch, pretty much. Absolutely beautiful throw, beautiful catch. Now, here's the good. The Eagles were incredible in the first half.
Hey, they scored in the first quarter.
They finally did, didn't they?
Yes,
I
they
didn't even
did.
think
First
about it.
time.
They did. That's right. Holy mackerel! I forgot to celebrate that. So, here's at the end of the first half, Jacksonville had 31 total yards. Craig, 31.
Jeez.
The time of possession was 21 minutes 26 seconds Eagles, 8 minutes 34 seconds Jacksonville. All right. Now, I don't have a whole lot negative to say about the Eagles. I don't have anything negative to say about the Eagle players. But we're going to talk about Nick Sirianni, and we're going to talk about him a little bit here. Did
Yeah,
you?
I didn't click on it, but I saw that one of those kids, that guy, Bodie or Bodes or whatever the hell his name is, the Philly sports radio guy on that's always on YouTube with his videos about Philly.
Yes, yes,
He I didn't see it, but he's like he's done with Nick Sirianni even after the win today, and I'm like, what the hell?
dude.
No, they won. They played well, but the video was timed like he was done. He really rags on Sirianni a lot because he does not like him.
Listen, I've been much more lenient on Sirianni than most Eagle fans throughout this, but I'll tell you what. In this Eagle win, I am more annoyed with Sirianni than I have been at almost any point other than the collapse last season.
Yeah,
This
that's
was
basically what he was saying.
this
Like
is insane.
I didn't click on it, but I saw the highlight and I clicked on his stuff before this week. And yeah, he's always all over Sirianni. He does not like him.
Well, I'm glad you didn't listen to it, so I can break this one out for you because this is astonishing. Okay, here I'm going to jump right to the stat that is beyond belief. The Eagles lost 9 points, Craig. 9 points. That is 2 field goals and 3 extra points because of Sirianni's weird decisions on going for it and going for two. They missed two tush pushes in one game for the first time ever. And they didn't go for they went for the game was 10-0 and very clearly feeling like a defensive struggle early on. Okay.
Yep.
It was 4th and 3. It wasn't 4th and 1. It wasn't a tush push, and they decided to go for it. The offense wasn't real like it was. It hadn't launched into full gear yet at that point. It was an odd decision. I said it when it happened. It's not Monday morning quarterbacking. They didn't get it. They had a similar situation later. Could have had a 3 that they needed at the time when it was I forget the score, but they were up by 7 or 8 points, and it could have made it a 2-score game. They decided not to. Didn't make it on 4th down again.
Yeah, you got to be smarter than that.
He cost them 9 points, Craig. 9 points. This game,
So are you how soured on him are you?
like at this point, like I here's the thing. The great news is the Eagles made the right hires this offseason. So they have two very good coordinators right now that can overcome a lot of Sirianni's nonsense. But they're going to have to overcome some Sirianni nonsense along the way. It's just that's become very clear. He almost cost them a game they should have won handily yesterday. That game should never have been close. They should have had 37 points with Jacksonville.
Well, I just lost you.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Maybe your finger was covering the microphone or something.
I might have got excited and gripped the phone a little aggressively.
Yeah, I think that's what happened because I could still hear you, but you were really almost muted.
Okay, thank you for letting me know. I will grip the phone lower. I'm just glad I didn't crush the phone when I was getting that worked up. So Sirianni cost them 9 points. They should have been up 37. They should have had 37 points when Jacksonville was beginning their comeback. The comeback never should have mattered. It never should have felt close at all if it wasn't for Sirianni's asinine moves. So, wow, I love this team. I really like the way they're playing right now, man. I couldn't be happier with the way they're playing. But Sirianni is a guy that is not only not necessarily helping them, but they have to overcome him.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm at with Sirianni. And let me hammer that home by saying this: the Eagles. Remember when we were talking about their defense 5 weeks ago or so,
Yeah, yeah.
of how bad it was?
No, no,
Well,
they're playing a lot better.
check this out, dude. They are now the seventh ranked pass defense in football and the fifth ranked rush defense. They are a top six overall defense.
Yeah. They have righted the ship. That's fantastic.
Absolutely incredible. And to play that well and to have to overcome your head coach's nonsense has to be a little frustrating. So I'm curious how the players feel about him at this point. He's running, he's running over and jabbering at fans in the middle of close games. He's making ridiculous calls on going for it here and there, doing 2 point. They took, by the way, one of those 2 point conversions. They took off the point off because there was a penalty. They got the extra point, took the point off, and then missed the 2 point conversion.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. Oh, and by the way, one of the 2 point conversions he went for when it was they had just scored a touchdown to make it 16-0. No, most sane people in the planet would kick the extra point and go up 17-0. There's no metric out there that tells you to go for two up 16-0, right? Nothing. No.
No.
He decides to go for two just because he likes to do that every now and then. They didn't get it. That's why it was 16-0 instead of 17-0. It's now a 2 score game instead of a 3 score game. Basic math. You know what I mean? So I am fired up about how well this Eagles team is playing. I couldn't be happier right now. The offense is clicking, the defense is clicking, everything's going well, but they have this moron running the ship, and it's driving me batty. So they're going to have to overcome this guy to go where they want to go this year.
Wow. You went as far as moron.
I really did. I mean, the last couple weeks with him yelling at the crowd and then the way he coached this week, moron is appropriate. Now, he can win my graces back by not being an idiot, but he's going to have to really suck it up and overcome his basic nature from what I can tell.
Wow. Okay. Well, like you said though, they're playing well. You got to be fired up about that aspect of it. So let me put this to you.
Please.
The Eagles go to the playoffs, win the game, and let's say they get bounced by either Green Bay or Detroit.
Okay.
Will
What
there
do I
be a
think?
clamor for Sirianni's job?
Okay. And I hate to hem and haw and hedge, but a lot of it depends how that happens.
Okay.
If it's a game, say they lose to the Packers. Let's just say it's the Packers. If they lose to the Packers and Sirianni costs them 9 points again, fire his ass instantly.
Okay.
If that's the only time he does that the rest of the season and he learns from it and moves on and he never yells at the people in the stands again the rest of his career, if he's learning and getting better from his stupidities that happen, then I'm all for it. But so I would have to see how it happens. Does he do stupid stuff to help them lose that game, or did he coach really well and they just got outplayed?
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So as angry as I just sounded and annoyed as I am at him right now, I'm not done with him like maybe Bodie is. I don't know where he stands, but and I think a lot of people in Philly are, even though they're 6-2 right now. We're talking about a 6-2 team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
They're playing
Um,
well.
so yeah, that's how I look at it. There's so many moving parts with it. I'd have to see how it played out.
All right. Well, two more games left. We got Minnesota over the Colts, 21-13. We got this one right. I actually had the 13 points, but I had 31-13.
Woo.
And you had a close one, 26-23. This was a kind of a ho-hum, nothing kind of a game for me. I really was not all that interested in it, to be honest.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if if the Vikings were as good as I thought, and if they were as good as I thought, they had to beat this team.
Right, and they did.
Yep.
They got the
And
job done.
it wasn't like a massive statement or anything. They didn't beat them 41-3, but they did what they had to do. The Flacco bump, just like the Winston bump, is not going to be there every week. Flacco was very pedestrian this week. 16 for 27, 179 yards and a pick. So that Flacco magic isn't always going to be there. But I think the Vikings just solidified that they're in the upper bracket of teams in the league to me.
Yes, they're in the upper mark.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold, 290 yards again, though. 3 touchdowns. He did throw 2 picks, but three touchdowns. And Justin Jefferson, 137 yards. He made a couple catches that are just the contested catches that he can make are unbelievable.
He's great. He's great. He also threw a pass for 22 yards, by the way.
Yeah.
And who is Josh Oliver, speaking of guys you never heard of?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because he caught 5 passes for 58 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, I don't know. Out of nowhere. They had the time of possession was ridiculous. 36 minutes
Oh,
to the
wow.
Colts 23.
Wow. Well, that makes sense given that Jonathan Taylor, only had 13 carries. And, I don't know what. I know they were down for almost this entire game, and I understand that stuff kind of happens sometimes. But, man, if you got a healthy Jonathan Taylor in your team and he's only touching the ball 13 times, something's wrong with your game plan. I don't care if you're down 13 points or 17 points in the third quarter. I'm still giving Jonathan Taylor the ball 5 times that quarter.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, does that change your view on anybody?
Not really. It kind of solidifies where I thought the Vikings were, and the Colts are just in a mediocre team because they don't have a great quarterback. They have Flacco who's going to be better than Anthony Richardson, but they're just going to struggle because of their quarterback play.
Yep. 4-5, right around 500, and that the 7 to 9 win range.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
And I don't. They probably won't even get to 9, to be honest.
No, I would put the over under at
8, 8
yeah,
for
like
me.
7.5, right?
Yeah, 7.5. Yep. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you, man.
All right. Well, now a game that was kind of interesting. It was 30-24. Kansas City gets the win last night on Monday Night Football against Tampa. But Tampa played well. They were in the game, really, right up until the end, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is a great game.
It was a really good game. Um,
And by the way, rain again with the rain.
yeah, but I like it.
I love it. I love it. And these guys played really well in it. So that was a fun component to a good game,
And the ghost of Kareem Hunt, wow. He just
dude.
keeps coming. Every once in a while, he'll just still pop up with one of these games. And you're like, damn.
He's been playing really well since they brought him back. It doesn't always show in his yards per carry, but I've watched every Chiefs game, and he is running hard, dude. Running hard. And when they give him holes, he gets it and then some. So yeah, I'm very impressed with him so far. Very impressed.
And they had the ghost of DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh
Eight
man.
catches, 86 yards, and 2 touchdowns. What?
This is what I wrote when that did you see the 35 was it a 35
Yeah,
yard bomb? Yeah, right.
yeah.
Triple covered and Hopkins goes Hopkins. And I wrote that the DeAndre Hopkins era officially begins with 6 minutes left in the second quarter. Um, and you could see for the rest of the game that Mahomes now trusts him.
Yeah, yeah. He had 9 targets, 8 catches. And how about Travis Kelsey? 14 catches.
14 catches, man. I mean, geez. You know, this guy just can't be stopped. Like, I mean, he is not, he's obviously in his latter years here, and he's not the guy he was 7 years ago or even 2 years ago. But, man, the dude can still play. 14 catches for 100 yards. Unbelievable.
Yep, did not expect it. I was so down on him earlier on.
Well,
And
it was understandable. It was understandable.
Mahomes, 291 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. That's good. He's
Oh,
back over the 50-50 margin for touchdowns to interceptions.
yeah, right. And while we're on Mahomes, boy, if I was and all the whole NFL landscape and Chiefs fans in particular must have had their hearts in their throats when he was carried off after that crazy touchdown pass to Samaje Perine that was kind of like a flip over a defender,
Yep.
and he had a hitch. They replayed that like 15 times, and of course Troy Aikman is telling everybody he's not a doctor, but yet diagnosing it. Which Troy
Right.
does that all the time. I'm not a doctor, but it sure looks like a hip injury. You know what I mean? Like, and it looked like when Bo Jackson broke his hip.
It looked similar, yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, is this guy did he just end his career? Or certainly he might have just ended his season. And then he's right back out there in the next play. It turns out he just tweaked his ankle.
Well, that's great, though. I'm glad that
Thank
he's good.
goodness.
Um, Not much on the Buccaneer side. Baker Mayfield didn't play bad. He had no interceptions, 2 touchdowns, a couple hundred yards. But nobody really did anything stood out in the running game. The
Nobody.
highest
Nobody.
rushing yards was 24.
Yeah, isn't that wild? Yeah, the only standout statistically was Kate Otten.
Yeah, which he's been basically almost every week. He's been good for a while now.
He's been the number one fantasy, unless you're in a PPR, then it's Kelsey. But if you're in a half or a full, I'm pretty sure Kate Otten beats out everybody for the last 3 weeks.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's amazing. As long as, and yeah, I don't think it's going to change much. By the way, if you're thinking about from a fantasy perspective, when Mike Evans comes back, because Kate Otten is doing more of what Chris Godwin does than what Mike Evans does. So I think if you were lucky enough to get him at the right time, he is playable for the rest of the season and
Well,
going to
how
be a
about
stud.
this? How about the guy I just was able to pick up a couple right after he got traded there? Hopkins was dropped in my league.
Oh, I picked him up too, and I was bummed I didn't get him in more than one of my leagues, but I got him in one, and he was in my lineup last night, by the way.
Me
And
too, because I had a bye week. I had a couple people on a bye. I had to play him.
yep, and it was similar circumstance for me, and it won. He won my game for me. I was down 15 points going into that game, and I ended up blowing the guy
He
out.
subbed in for George Pickens for me.
Oh, dude, well done, well done. And
Yeah.
Pickens was on my bench too. That's what happened with me because I have Pickens. I have Pickens. There's a few guys I have on almost all my teams because I thought they were underrated coming into the season, and Pickens and Tony Pollard are two of them.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. So that's that. I went 11-4. You went 12-3. You opened up a three. You have a 3 game lead now. 95-43 to 92-46.
Okay, not bad. We're both doing pretty well after our early season woes.
Yep. And it's time to sign off on this one. But let's tell people what we're going to be doing in the next one in terms of the deadline that's coming up.
Yeah, we got some major trade deadline news. We got a lot of deals to talk about. We're not going to mention any of them right this second, but we got a whole bunch to break down as we're recording. Right as I'm speaking, there's 34 minutes and 24 seconds left in the trade deadline. So the deadline will end as we're doing the next podcast. So we'll be able to hit them all.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. And I can't wait because there should be some more interesting moves. So we're going to talk all about the deadline, and of course, we're going to give all of our preview and predictions for Week 10, every game, every team, like we do every week.
Absolutely. And I even have 3 true or falses again this week.
Okay, so make sure you guys tune in for that. I'll try to get it out a little earlier this week, since it's a little bit time sensitive with the trade deadline. So we'll
Mm,
see what we can do to make sure we're on a little more timely fashion and getting both of them out relatively quickly.
good call. Very good call. I didn't even think about that. That's a great call.
Yeah. Okay, but that's gonna do it for this one. I will be signing off, Al. Until then, I will see you later.